We just finished the very first week of LCS in 2020, literally like half an hour ago, and we're live right now with Hotline League, the new post-game show for Monday nights. You watch League of Legends, you watch Monday Night League on Monday nights. Now this is your new place to tune in immediately following the broadcast. Tell your friends, all right? You're done with that Bud Light crap. You come over here, where we drink good beer.
If I can be a part of this.
Kobe's walking in right now too. But he's going to walk past the door and shut his door, so we won't get to interact with him. But he's here in the background of Hotline League, episode 107.
You're scaring me, Travis. Why do you have energy?
So it's like whenever I'm not sitting at home all day. All right. By the way, shout out to Alienware. They're great. Love them. Thanks for sponsoring the show. We're going to talk more about them later. I'm joined right now by Mark, my constant co-host here on Hotline League. How's it going, Mark?
It's great. We just did the first analyst desk for Monday Night League.
How was it? Is it different? Is there a
different vibe? I mean, you saw we had a different host, Gabby.
Yeah. I mean, yes. Gabby's definitely different. And the vibe was a little different too. You guys did more like, at least the pre-show at least was a little bit more like interview based.
Yeah, it was more conversational. That's what we're going for, I think. A little less like segment right. Type stuff, I think. I don't know if that'll stay or what, but also like we had different graphics packages, so overall different.
Jack's in the chat. Congratulations to Jack on a 2-0 week. He's got to be feeling good. Him, FlyQuest, and Dig.
It's really surprising given that they lost the offseason that they managed to sneak out a few wins while their teams are weak,
Yeah, they always lose the offseason. So it's fascinating how this stuff keeps happening.
You do sound a little quieter.
I do?
Someone in chat said I'm loud compared to you, but I do feel like you're a little quieter than normal to me.
I will here. How about this? Is this better? Does that sound better?
Oh yeah. Yeah, sounds better.
Okay, great.
Did you just boost the whatever?
Yeah. Jack was tweeting, or C9 was tweeting that they scammed EG, which I thought was pretty interesting.
I almost bought in with that. I was really scared to predict EG after they were 0-3 on the week, and I was like, oh shit, are they gonna go 0-4 and not in Super
Week? Their academy teams lost too?
Yeah, and Kumo and Sven were playing in those games.
Oh really?
Yeah, so everyone was just like, holy shit, what's going on? And then they won this game, thank God.
So let's see. Lots to talk about. Academy Rush. Players not being able to stream against Academy, which I think I hope we get a call in about that because I think that'll be interesting.
Wasn't that always true?
I don't know if it was always true, but it seems more relevant now because
you
Academy
could never stream against LCS. I know that.
That I know.
So I thought you couldn't stream against Academy.
So Jack says it's always been true, but seemingly it's more relevant now because Academy is being broadcast more often.
But it's not.
Is it not? I didn't think all the games were broadcast before.
No, I mean, it's come and gone, but like it wasn't even Academy. Like you couldn't. Jack can correct me if I'm wrong, but I don't even think you could stream against Challenger when Challenger was a thing. Maybe you could, but I didn't think. Definitely not since Academy. And Academy, they were broadcasting games Thursday, Friday before, or maybe it was just Friday. But Friday's always been a broadcast day.
Well, whatever. If somebody wants to call in and talk about it, we can. I mean, because Reddit seemed to have pretty strong feelings about it. And especially because it was up against Academy Rush, which I think was seemingly a bit of a flop from the audience perspective this week.
Mm-hmm. I think just talking about Academy Rush as a whole is interesting.
And then we can talk about the new schedule, 4 days only on Saturday, Sunday. Now we've experienced it, plus the Monday night games. I got to say, I like Monday Night League. I feel pretty good right now. I liked going in today, watching those games. The vibe was pretty cool. I like that it was only 2 games for LCS at least. Like it's a good. I like it so far. I think it's pretty good, and the viewership was all right, and I think could get better over time. So actually, I think this Monday night so far I like. Now I actually suspect that we're gonna get a lot of callers that will agree with that because they're gonna be like West Coast callers and stuff because we're streaming so late. But so far I like it, and I know the EU fans don't like it. If EU fans watch LCS, that's kind of a shitty situation for them.
Why are you watching such trash teams, anyways?
Let's see. Jack says I think all LCS pros should be doing everything they can to promote our development leagues. So I disagree with that. So maybe Jack can call in, and because I actually don't. I fundamentally disagree with Academy being like a broadcast product. I just don't think that People are gonna care. Whatever. Anyway, then what else? Oh, obviously all the matches. TSM going 0-2. One of the worst games I have watched in a long time was that Immortals TSM game. It was so rough.
Painful.
I felt bad. So Kobe is on the other side as well. I felt bad for him. I apologized to him whenever he came home last night. I felt like
I had to cast that.
I needed to make him a cake or something, because it was great, because I think he was casting with Riv, and Riv was just like, and here it goes. Oh, they're going to see if they can finish it out. Oh, and we're approaching the 60-minute mark. And I could just hear Kobe's voice whenever it would turn to him for analysis, and he was suffering. There was such pain in that man's voice as he had to, like, at the 55-minute mark, explain that they were going to have to get a second Elder to close it out. What else?
Yeah.
New, I guess, I don't know. The Bud Light thing is interesting. We can talk about that. Maybe some people have feelings about the Bud Light stuff.
Mm-hmm.
What else? Anything else? Oh, Frisco, Texas as the finals.
Oh yeah. The printout player of the weeks.
Oh yeah,
Froggen's actually getting the first statue.
Yeah. So for those that didn't catch it, MasterCard is part of like the sponsorship activation with MasterCard is now when you get MVP, they make a statue of the player, and they give the statue to the player itself, and also somebody who like tweeted at and predicted who the MVP would be. So that's kind of cool.
If you think I look nice tonight, people in Twitch chats, because I just came from the LCS, so I have hair and makeup on.
That's actually great. You're not going to look homeless anymore on the show.
No, it's going to ruin the show. That's the whole aesthetic.
Welcome to the Alienware Hotline League post-game show with Mark Z and Travis Gafford.
Alienware is paying for a homeless man to appear on broadcast, and they are not getting that right now. I doubt they'll be happy about this.
We gotta get an email from them. Hey, we really appreciate all the work that, the extra effort you and Mark are putting into the show this year. It really shows. All right. Am I forgetting anything else? Twitch chat, remind me. That was most of it. Looking at Twitch chat. I mean, obviously there's the
what I was gonna say was about like someone on your most recent episode commented like, why do they even ask for callers if they clearly have things they want to talk about and stuff? And it was only because it was the off season, and if we don't stay hands on with the topics, it just repeats to like, I think TSM will be top 3.
Yeah, we just end up with predictions the whole time. So
right. So now that we're back in the season, we can leave it a lot more open ended, because most people will be talking about things we're interested in talking about anyways.
And also if people are referring to this part of the call or the show where we are kind of like priming the audience with some topics, it's because if we don't do this, like, people don't always have the best takes. Are you okay over there, Mark? What are you cracking up about?
My girlfriend was asking about microwaving popcorn. That's it.
Okay. Well, it must have been real funny, because you're interrupting the show with your laughter.
I thought I muted. You couldn't hear me.
I could see it. Anyway, let's talk
Be a
about
professional.
Let's talk about League of Legends. All right.
I got a bunch of callers already.
Really? Okay. Well,
but
it might be too late. Or are you still looking for callers?
We're still looking for callers for sure.
Okay, do you want to explain how the show works?
Yeah, we got a couple calls already, but if you still want to try and get on, I'm spamming the Discord link in Twitch chat, so you can go ahead and click that and join up in the Discord. And when you get here, go ahead and join the Pleb Calls voice channel, and then you're going to post your topics and what you want to talk about in the Pleb Topics text channel. So go ahead and put whatever it is you want to talk about. If we want to talk about it, we'll grab you and bring you into the waiting room if we like your take, and then you'll hang out there until it's your turn. We'll do a quick mic check, make sure everything's good before bringing you on air.
Great. And a couple shout outs to some people who subbed earlier on. Crimson Trin, NA Alistar, ESN Josh, Blank 27, Odd One Villain for gifting us up to Boater Michael to heal. We'll keep going through some of those throughout this. All right, Mark, you want to go grab our first caller?
Sure.
Just hop into it right away. We're a little behind schedule.
Okay.
Nice.
People in the waiting room who are currently headset muted, unmute. You have to be listening to me to be able to talk to me.
The Iron Schnitzel, thank you for the Prime. Lighter God, 100 bits. Wild LOL, thank you for the 15 months. MacD Shifty, 13 months. My PS, 27 months. By the way, I gotta say, this has been, I was really excited to have LCS back this week. Oftentimes Kind of like when you're going to go on like a big. Oh, Kobe's in the chat. He said, "Topic number 1: should Kobe be allowed to get a cat for?" Okay, we're fucking done with this.
I vote yes on the cat.
Except we time that guy out. Anyway, Tom Shu is here. Tom Shu, welcome to the show. Remind me again where you're calling from.
Hey guys, what's going on?
Yeah, good to have you back. Where are you calling from?
Calling from Hampton Roads, Virginia.
Nice. By the way, Mark, sorry to interrupt Tom, but Pipiopi came up and introduced himself to me at the tailgate, which was kind of fun.
On Saturday?
Yeah, on Saturday.
Oh.
By the way, tailgate was lit on Saturday.
It was the most poppin' tailgate I think we've or like first day I've ever
Sunday,
seen.
it was shit, but it was lit on Saturday.
All right, straight fire.
Tom Shu, what do you want to talk about in the show?
Oh yeah, so I wanted to talk about the new Academy Rush format that LCS is experimenting with.
Sure.
Well, I sort of get what they're trying to get at. Trying to introduce Academy for like a more like casual player base, and they don't want to get too much into the weeds of the game because people kind of get bored because like I don't even know these players and like who the heck is like Schernfire or whatever. And I think they did an okay job for the first week, but there's still like plenty of like improvements that could be made despite it being like a good idea in the first place.
So your take is that Academy Rush is a good idea?
Yeah, it's a good idea for filthy casuals is what I mean.
For casuals?
Yeah, exactly.
For someone who doesn't like want to break down the game because that's just basically impossible.
It's just like
format,
action.
right? Yeah,
exactly. But we need to get people show the action. We need solo kills and ganks and just constant fighting nonstop, just to get people to stay interested in these players.
So, first off, Mark, are you part of the Academy Rush broadcast? I didn't watch it this week. I probably should.
No, not at all.
Okay, so you can feel free to shit on it then, I guess. What did you watch any of it?
Yeah, I did.
Okay.
I think it will be a divisive program for people who are not plebs and want to watch the game. They'll never like it because it's not what it is.
I'm running a poll right now in Twitch chat. Yeah. Do you care about Academy Rush?
We're gonna see over first time I saw it, like I already hated it.
You phrased this badly. Do you care? Because I don't care. What you should say is, did you like Academy Rush? Because I don't care.
But you liked it?
Right, because you're asking if I cared about Academy Rush.
Yeah, but I feel like it's better to ask people if they care, because if you like it but you don't care, you're probably not going to tune into it.
Right, but those are the people who don't even like Academy ever. You're not going to make a satisfying Academy product for people who don't like Academy.
Well, I want to find out how many people like Academy.
I mean, if you want to stop getting trashed in Worlds, then you better start caring about Academy.
No, that's
you don't.
Viewers.
That's
viewers don't care.
That's where it's wrong. So I think people somehow think that you need to care. Like, if we want to improve LCS talent, we should care about Academy as viewers. That's wrong. Like, the development leagues of traditional sports do not have a shit ton of people caring about them. That's not why they exist. They care to level up talent so that you can bring that talent into the major league. It's not like go ahead.
Yeah, that's kind of weird because we're making another like traditional sports comparison because like I don't know, like we're talking about so we don't pay attention to development leagues and academy, but like of course last time I've seen is you've seen people can have eyes on these players, and heck, like considering that owners and GMs and players are so close to the community, they would potentially have more of an effect on their player decisions. Like you're actually
if team owners and GMs are making decisions based off of fan sentiment,
community perception,
yeah, that's a bad sign.
Then they're bad at their jobs, and they're going to get cycled out anyways. And thank God
they're already bad at their jobs, man.
Yeah, but I'm sorry, Tom, to spoil the people watching's bubble, but it's not on us to fix the scene, and we're not capable of it anyways as like viewers and fans. If there's some idea that like we're gonna fix it, it's gonna be on us by watching Academy and saying, I really like Yasui, I hope he gets a chance.
He needs a chance.
I mean, I'm not saying you're wrong.
Do your part for North America, League of Legends, and watch Academy. Suffer through these games.
The way that you get better is by having the right infrastructure, getting the right teams, having better coaches, having better players, a better environment, and the getting eyeballs on Academy is none of that. We're getting a little off topic, but I will say,
Yeah, we are getting off topic. I did want to talk about like some of the improvements they could make to the format.
Okay. Well, okay. Let's give me 60 seconds here, maybe 2 minutes, 120 seconds here. Do we think Academy Rush should exist? Because I'm ready to take the stance that it shouldn't. Because I just don't. I think there's a lot of effort being put into a thing that people don't care about.
I mean, it 100% depends on the business side of it. If it's making money and it helps teams, I don't have any problem with it. My only sentiment is that I'm not even saying like we shouldn't care about Academy. I'm just saying it's not on the viewers, because I see Jack in chat talking about how doing things to help Academy to offset the budget of having to hire Academy is good by getting fans to care. I can buy that argument, but I also think teams should be willing to invest anyways if they care about winning and be smart with their money and stuff like that.
Yeah, my only concern is it costs a lot of money to operate that broadcast. Is hiring everybody, like turning on the lights for the LCS studio costs a lot of money. Like I don't know, a lot of people don't. Not that I'm some expert at production, but oftentimes in production they talk about the cost just to turn on a studio. Right, you need X number of people to operate cameras and the control room and do all the switching and like all these types of things. And these are all people that are professionals. So you have to pay them a ton. So I just don't know if like a $20,000 to $30,000 or sorry, 20 to 30,000 viewer broadcast is going to be enough to. Like you can make enough money off that to offset, to even just cover the cost of operating the broadcast, let alone then passing that money on to the teams.
Right. And that's, I mean, I think that's totally fair. And that's 100% on Riot to know. And if they're trying to, like, because eventually you fill up sponsorships, right? The analyst desk is sponsored, and Alienware sponsors this. And you have State Farm, you got Red Bull, you got all these sponsors. Suddenly you just need more things to sponsor, like a Bud Light League Lounge that happens on the Monday night broadcast. Then you have the Academy Rush for, I don't know, one of those brain apps that makes you smarter, you know, like just creating more products creates more sponsorship opportunities. And so like, as long as you can offset those costs, I'm fine with it.
Yeah.
Sponsored by Surge Energy Drink.
Okay, so back to so let's just go into the premise that this thing should only exist if it can get the viewership that it needs to exist, and then Riot has to decide what that is. But to Tom's shoe point, you were saying you watched it and you felt like there were some improvements that could be made.
Yeah, there are some things that they could really do an improvement. I noticed they were doing like a lot of quick cuts. Like it goes like straight from like one team fight, and then we can completely switch over to the next one and go into a next team fight without giving, you know, the previous 20 or 30 second build up to that team fight. And it's like, I think it'd be a little easier for people to follow and a little less whip around if they can have that context between fights and like have that that build up between that stuff. And where's my
I
here?
So I forget if it was Dave Stewart, who's the executive producer, or somebody else, but in that Reddit thread that was kind of shitting on
he was
Academy,
pretty active.
Somebody mentioned that they agree that they were cutting way too quickly, because somebody was like, you're cutting every like 20 or 30 seconds. It should be probably every couple minutes. And so I do think that is something they're looking to do.
Yeah, they can be a little more liberal with replays because I doubt people are really watching the time. Like everyone knows that this is like basically like air quotes live, but yeah, it just makes things a lot easier.
Yeah. What else you got, Tom?
Can we have like like how ESPN has that little like bottom line on the bottom of
the ticker.
Like a ticker?
Yeah.
Yeah, you can have like kill score, gold lead, what time is it? You can have some dragons down there. That would be really nice to show people how the games are going in between. And you know, even when you're whipping around, you can still get an idea of how the other games are going in real time. I don't know if that'd be possible, but
Mark, I'm kind of curious. How much do you? So you're actually. It's kind of funny because you spent like a split or two doing a pseudo version of this, where you were on the analyst desk trying to track two different streams. How manageable is it? Like how reasonable is it to expect fans to be able to keep up with what is happening across these different games simultaneously?
I don't think it's possible to keep up on the level that you keep up on a typical game. I think, you know, Tom's point, you can do a couple things to help have a little bit more information. Like if gold lead is just scrolling across in like maybe a couple like KDA type things, that's fine. And that can help you know when you pop into that game, oh, I already kind of know TSM is winning or something, right? I think all that's fine, but you're not going to know this team has 6 dragon. Like, because once you start putting too much information in that ticker, it takes too long to scroll through.
Sure.
There's 4 games going on. You start inundating people with information. So I don't think you'll ever be able to track 4 games, dragon counts, rift herald counts, turret counts, itemization choices, and like, you just
you don't need to be that detailed. It's more
that's what I'm saying is
just kills time, dragons gold.
Yeah, and
I
I think
the main 4 to describe whether a team is generally in the lead or not. Yeah.
Right, and that's what I'm saying is it if you're asking if you'll ever be able to follow it, because Travis was asking about when I was on the analyst desk, and I could follow 2 games at a decent level. I can know major points what's going on. I can know why a team lost. I know their drafts. I know everything. I would miss some of the minutia that's really important, like, oh, that guy did a slow push a minute ago and now something's happening, right? Like I would miss some of that, but I would mostly have a good idea. And if anything big happened, I would go back and go back until I found out what happened, because I had the replay tool available for me. And that's really why it worked, is not because I was watching 2 games simultaneously, but because I would go back because I was spectating the games myself. This doesn't exist for Academy Rush. It never will. So that's all I was saying was you have to come to terms with the most you're going to know is generally who's winning. You join in, you see some cool plays. You say, that was a good move by Phoenix at 80 carry. Apparently it's working out, maybe,
Yeah.
and then you move on to the next thing, right?
Yeah, I agree. And can we maybe also be cool if you just had like the 4 streams and like attached it to ProView or something like that, and you could have like a squad stream going on. You can watch all 4
I
of them at the
wonder.
same time.
Well, I think it's hard because I think Academy is already very niche. ProView is very niche. So now you've created like a niche situation where it's like how many people are going to actually be using this functionality versus what it costs for them to, like, I don't want to say build it out, but like to operate it, right? Like there is like a level of maintenance needed to do something like that. So I do think that's interesting, but I don't know what the answer is.
Yeah, I don't know. I'm not a filthy casual, so like I'm always going to prefer the old format, but it's just like, I don't know if you can ever see like just if they actually can get like some kind of benefit out of this.
Yeah, and I think my sense watching it when they were doing the initial swaps is the audio cuts weren't super clean. Sometimes they didn't take the audio down enough for James to speak over it.
There's production issues for sure.
Right, there's a significantly more noticeable amount of production issues than the average LCS broadcast because it's a new product. And I think when they hammer those out, it will feel decent. And that's what it's hoping to do, is just be better than trying to get people to watch 15 Academy games for people who want to keep up. Or not 15 Academy, I'm going to say 5 Academy games. For people who care about, who don't really care about Academy.
Right.
Yeah.
So, okay, you have one more take, Tom? I don't know if you have anything else, but I just want to limit us before we move on to the next caller.
No, that's pretty much it. Can I say my last thing?
Yeah.
Can we talk about how I was right again about Ryoma and Aika being trash? Like, can we get some NA mids? Can we get Yasui a league spot? Because I'm so sick of seeing him elo held by trash junglers. It's so ridiculous. Oh my god, get this man a spot. Get DeMonte a spot. Why do we have these people in the league?
All right.
Please.
All right.
Oh my god.
Tom,
send help.
Tom,
we need more talent. We need more talent. Get this man a team.
Tom, I'm going to meet you.
Get this man a team. I swear.
Okay, we're meeting Tom. Okay, Mark, Aika and Ryoma. What's the early look for both these guys?
I think we'll have some more callers about this. So I'll bite my tongue for now and just say Aika's 2-0, right? Wasn't he? Or is he 1-1?
He's 1-1.
1-1. Whatever. There you go.
Tom, thanks for the call. Anything you want to shout out as we say goodbye?
Well, I pretty much just like blew my load right there. But
right. Okay, he's gone. All right, on to the next caller.
Okay, some people dipped out of the thing.
The room. They got spooked.
I guess so.
Oh, by the way, Mark's gone.
Were you talking to me?
Yeah. I was about to say, do we have any FlyQuest callers?
You gonna talk about the trees?
I don't want to say. We make fun of FlyQuest a lot. They're off to a good start. I'm gonna say, like, I actually like the rebrand. I think they're jerseys.
I mean, I think I have a FlyQuest caller about them being good this year,
Do you?
and so we can
Okay.
maybe lump it in there.
Okay. Off you go. All right. Thank you to Lighter God, Wild, MacD Shifty for 13 months, My PS for 27 months, which is crazy. Iron Bear Claws, D Brown Docs, Simba Kid, Ronald Din Ho, Joker Can't Spell, Ghetto Stripper, and Gavo265. OG Kush is returning the show. OG Kush, you've called in before, right?
I have twice, I think. Yeah. Yep.
Well,
Last
welcome.
time I called, I was in I was at in lab, and it was a little awkward, but
Oh, that's right. Because I think we were figuring it out. Well, welcome back to the show. Where are you calling from?
I'm calling from Chapel Hill, North Carolina.
Chapel Hill, North Carolina. That's right. I think I remember this. Because I
Yep.
think Hunter's from around that area. I want to say. Anyway, what do you want to talk about in the show tonight?
At least in NA, like Senna feels like really underwhelming. Like I don't understand why it's getting so much priority. Like I think the only game so far that it seemed good was the 100 Thieves game, but besides that, it just seems like I don't know. It doesn't win lane. It kind of just sits there. Like I don't know. Like and I think partly it's like how it's being played in NA.
How she's being played.
Sorry, she's my bad.
Yeah, get it together. All right.
Yeah.
he's just a caller, right? Isn't not used to speaking.
My bad.
Everyone.
My bad. Like Aphelios and like Aphelios, Braum, and Zyricon seem like so much better because of like how I don't know. They seem so much better in lane and like DPS like double lift on Senna versus double lift on Zaya. That's like what stood out to me.
Maybe Doublelift is just a shit Senna.
Dude, true.
He lost. He was losing lane early too.
Let's not get excited, okay?
Aphelios when I think it's supposed to be good for Senna. I mean, I'm sure it's jungle or support.
All right, this is definitely more of a Mark thing. But Mark, is Senna bad?
I don't think Senna's bad. I think she is a bit of a utility marksman. Obviously with the shield and the healing and stuff that comes in, she scales really weird, and a lot of it is lethality. And so I think in games that you fall behind with her, she looks really bad. And then she has people kind of talk about her being a little bit like Caitlyn, where she has this really, it's kind of meh mid and late game that's not great, but she scales infinitely. And so when you start getting into those longer games, you saw Kabe. Maybe there's a bit of time in the middle where you're like, he's doing nothing, but then suddenly he's like, 1v5 protecting the base by like hitting people. So I think she does have a lot of potential, and there were a couple good games with her. You kind of mentioned the 100 Thieves game. You're talking about the one from today, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, there was also the Johnson game on it for Dignitas. He had a good performance. I think you need to draft other damage with it so you're not dependent on her. And, the 100 Thieves game, I think Jizuke just really made it hard for people, and they started itemizing MR, and then once there's no armor, it's really good. But like if you have an Oriana, which I think was in the game with Froggen and Dignitas, it was a really good showing for it as well. So I think it's it's a very different champion than what we're used to seeing in the marksman role, but I think it's still strong.
Yeah, I feel like it just seems so slow, like at least in the early game. That maybe it's just not being abused as much, but I guess I haven't watched much like LPL, how much Senna they're playing. That probably would be a good idea.
It's super high priority. Basically, the three marksmen that everyone's playing are Aphelios, Misfortune, and Senna. And I think Senna is really good. I was talking with Chat too. There's some optimizations that we're still wondering about. Like Black Cleaver apparently applies 2 stacks on each auto, so you can with an auto Q auto, you break them completely, because I think Q does it twice as well, so you can get full shred. So maybe, if you have another AD threat, it could work. I don't know. We were just kicking around. We're not sure RFC is 100% the best thing.
Yeah.
Stuff like that.
Yeah, it could.
Mark? Hello? Discord just died.
Yeah, that happened for you too?
Yeah, we're now using Skype.
What the fuck? Everyone in chat saying it too.
Discord is dead. Like the server. How do we do this now? How do we do this fucking
All-
show?
Like, it's not like our server died.
No,
Discord,
as a
the
service
entirety of Discord
has just died.
Discord.
We've reverted to Skype.
I gotta go. Rip Discord on Twitter.
Wow. What's that background noise?
Oh, sorry. My girlfriend's watching TV, and when I'm not using the right microphone, it doesn't gate properly.
Can you switch to the other one? All right. Hello, everyone. Oh, wait. Discord's back. Are you getting back on?
Sure.
Okay. It's slowly coming back to life. I see people loading in. I'm trying to join. Fascinating. I've never seen anything like that before. That's crazy. Sorry, podcast listeners who have to sit through this. Okay, I see Mark in the waiting room. Why won't it let me join? Bring me back to life.
I had to double click it. Let me try and spam click it.
What was
Spam click
the
it.
band that's saying "Bring me back to life"? You know, with the female singer.
It was Evanescence.
Evanescence.
Yeah.
That's right.
Wake me up.
Yeah. I can't wake up. Okay. I'm trying to bring OG Cushion. OG Cush, are you here?
I'm back.
Sorry, Discord just died. These
Yeah,
are the type of. I just want to
thought we
point
were
out.
about to do Hotline League over DMs or something.
Yeah, you know, I just want to point out. People make fun of Hotline League for having technical issues. I have never seen Discord, the entire program and service, just crash.
Yeah, I think
All right?
Discord really hated my take on that or something.
People flame me, but this is the classic. Anyway, where are we at? We were talking about Senna. I think
God,
you
I
guys were
can't
wrapping
remember
up the Senna
everyone who's in the
conversation.
room.
What's that? Oh, everybody
So I
has to.
can't-
You have to pull people back into the waiting room.
Yeah, I don't remember who was there.
If you
think
were in the
Con-
waiting room, message Mark what your take was, and
Yeah.
he'll pull you back in. Just
Balls.
DM him. His name is Oswald on Discord. All right, OG Kush, you want to wrap up your take?
Yeah. I mean, it just Overall, it's so far, it's probably just because NA is NA. But yeah, Senna just seems pretty underwhelming. It'll be interesting to see if we can, as a region overall, figure the champion out because it's kind of cool. It's a cool champion.
She's pretty cool.
So yeah, I said
Yeah, I think,
she's God damn it, Travis.
Mark
Eh.
Mark was about to say something and then he got distracted probably by
Yeah,
managing
I was like,
Discord stuff.
it didn't matter.
OG Kush, anything you want to say before you want to say goodbye?
Let's go liquid, I guess.
Have a good one.
Bye.
All right, Mark, are we stabilizing right now? I can stall if you need more time to.
No, I
stabilize.
got more people in there.
Okay.
I'll go grab someone.
Okay, cool. C9 Jack resub for 8 months. Thanks, Jack. Whistle Britches for the 5 months. Shanchi Cho for the 2 months. Dead Sticks for the Prime. Joshi Koala with the 2 months. And Odd One Villain gifted a sub to Captain Flowers. Thank you for gifting a sub to Captain Flowers. This weekend, I was walking into the building, and out of nowhere, I didn't know who it was at first. I just get like tackle hugged, and I'm like, "What the hell is this?" And in my ear, I just hear, "We beat Team Liquid twice," and it was Jack, and he was happy because they had just beaten Team Liquid in LCS and Academy, and it was very startling and very scary. And I'm still recovering from that assault.
Getting hugged by Jack.
Yeah. Well,
Jack's never hugged me.
It was
so.
very spooky. He was very excited.
He does look like a teddy bear. Like,
welcome, Cheesecake, to the show. Where are you calling from? Cheesecake, where are you calling from?
I just muted. Unlucky. I'm calling from Iowa.
Iowa. Okay, whereabouts in Iowa?
Newton, Iowa.
Okay.
It's about.
Are you actually
Sorry.
from Iowa?
No.
It sounds really
I was
suspicious when you're like, oh, like
No.
you're thinking of a city in Iowa.
No. I didn't quite hear the question, but then it came to me.
Okay.
All right, but
Great. What do you want to talk
He's
about?
not from Iowa. That's what we've learned.
No. Okay. But my topic is how after this week, I am convinced for this split, not for like total rankings for like worlds or anything, but for this split, I think FlyQuest and Dignitas will fight for third.
FlyQuest and Dig will fight for third. Who do you have in first and second?
That I'm not gonna confirm for that really, but if I had to say right now, since you're putting me on
it's
the
always
spot,
funny when
Travis,
people do this because you
you're
have to
putting
in
me on
order
the
to
spot,
decide.
Travis, but I would put Team Liquid Cloud9.
Okay. It's
I think
funny
that's
to me
fair.
when people say like third, but then they can't give you a first or second because I'm like, how did you figure out they'd be third without knowing who's going to get there? Anyway, whatever.
That is fair,
So,
but yes,
so you think FlyQuest and Dig? You're saying
yes.
fresh off their 2-0 weekend. Okay, so
Yes.
what gives you the confidence that they will be third, and why not first or second?
So I think that just Cloud9 structure in general and how the players just looked as a cohesive unit, they'll just stay at the top next to Team Liquid. I don't know who will be first or second compared to the two. I think it depends on how quickly Broxa comes back for Team Liquid to get more wins, because I think once Broxa's back, then it'll be a lot different. And I am a little biased because I am a Fnatic fan too. So, but
Yeah.
I honestly think that Team Liquid, once Broxa's back, they'll be either undefeated when he's back or like one game maybe. And also, I think that the reason why I think Dignitas and FlyQuest will fight for third is because their wins were pretty convincing, even though they were like lower seeded teams, it seems. Dignitas, so Huni likes to take a lot of resources, whether like ganks and just farm in general, and usually Grig doesn't look good, but in pro play. But lately, I think it's just easier for him because Froggen doesn't like resources a lot. He just likes to farm for like 20 minutes or whatever, like he did on Victor, and he just pops off later. And I think their bot lane is pretty solid. I think Johnson's first few games were really good, and I think despite Afromu's first death was kind of, I wouldn't say total int, but it was pretty bad. He picked up later on, and I think that all of them being veterans helps Johnson a lot learn the game a lot quicker than he would on a different team. And I also think, and the reason why I say FlyQuest is because last year, spring split, they were fourth. And after seeing Viper, well, okay, he did get Riven, but like he looked a lot better, and Santorin looked like spring split self. And PoE and Ignar are just total upgrades from what they had before, especially in support.
Sure. So you're feeling pretty good about both these teams.
Yes.
Okay. Mark? I mean, it is only like, here's the thing, it's only been 1 week.
Yeah.
And so everybody always has like strong reactions, but
yeah, well, so we didn't get too much into the FlyQuest one, and so maybe we'll do that. But top three seems pretty open for taking right now. I think you're right about Team Liquid and C9 being 1-2. I'm definitely on board with that train. TSM was my third. They're looking pretty sketch right now.
Yeah.
And, this is all caveated with it's been 1 week. EG was my 4. Better game today, but we'll see where 100 Thieves lands. I didn't have them in playoffs, so
yeah, Jizuke could. I think it depends on Jizuke for Evil Geniuses, but
well, yeah, and they played Ryoma, and we'll get into some of this, but he seems like a potential weak point. So CLG doesn't look good. FlyQuest is, the other one you're saying. They look more impressive than I would have thought, but I don't have a ton of faith as people get better. Immortals, Golden Guardians, and what do we need to say? So I do think it is very possible for Dig to take third. Your primary competition is TSM if they fix themselves, FlyQuest if they maintain, and EG if they can get a little bit better right now is how it feels. So I think it is pretty reasonable. I really liked what I saw out of week 1 out of them. Froggen obviously has always been a great individual and mechanical player. Seems like he's working very well with this team right now, which has kind of been the rub on him for the past couple of years. Was he didn't have great teammates, but it also didn't feel like he elevated them necessarily. It was a lot of just like, And I heard talking with a lot of players who were on teams with him that they didn't really enjoy either jungling for him or being in other lanes. So it's good to see that this is totally different. The question is, can they keep getting better? And is this a team that's going to grow to see if they can push beyond that? But right now, I'm with you. I feel pretty good about putting them top 3, top 4.
I want to make a quick point where for Froggen is I think that he might do a lot better with this roster because there's so many veterans and so many of them have had success. Or so many, it's just Huni and Ephraim, but still. And I think that's really good for him because as we can see, like he might be a player like Xmithy because he might get better in the split and they did win one game, but he still hasn't looked like his Team Liquid self, I would say. So maybe
let's
who he's playing with. I don't know.
Yeah, we'll try and stay focused on these teams because I'm sure we'll hit some of the other ones.
So Mark, the one thing to point out here is you are the resident Froggen hater, I believe. You got MVP this weekend. And
I voted for him.
I voted for him. Seemed quite strong.
Hater voting.
Is this confirmation that he has always just been held back by his teams, like some other analysts with angry British accents have claimed?
I don't know. It's one of those things where I always talk about this whenever we actually talk about Froggen. Is it's like it's so hard to have just a normal conversation about him because the Froggen fans, like he had after the first game on Reddit, the comment section is just like he was never washed up. He's always been the best,
like Thorn.
It's just like people they take it to the extreme. Not like, hey, great first showing. I really like this guy. Like his fans are so passionate that they will like shit on anyone who disagrees when they have the ammo to use, right? And then when bad things happen, because the fans have been so aggressive in the other direction, everyone comes out the other way, And then they're like, he's shit. He's never succeeded in North America. That means he's shit, And it's like the truth is in the middle, but it's so hard to get there when the two people will take any words you say and be like, see, look, he agrees he's the best or he's shit. When in reality, I'm like, no, he's obviously a very great individual player who has struggled to make teams work if he doesn't already have other great talent on the team. He doesn't elevate people, That was the only thing was like, he doesn't seem he's a great player, but he's not like people are saying he's one of the best in North America. But I'm very confident if you took people who were usually in conversation for best in North America, like Jensen and Bjergsons and others, that like if you put them on those teams, they would become better than what they became when Froggen was on them.
I have a Froggen interview.
That was the main point that I was making was like he's probably more between like 4th or 6th, and like as a complete package, not just as a laner. If you're talking about solely laning, he's definitely higher. But people who play with him said he won't sacrifice for you, right? The way Pobelter was on record saying like I'm someone who's gonna like I'll go int if I think if it's the right play and stuff like that. And that's been the only complaint people who are trying to find the middle ground have is like, I mean, is he the team player sometimes that his team needs him to be? And if he can, and like I said, if he can get on a team with other good players, he'll look even better because he's a super, super good player. He puts a lot of pressure on the enemy team. If suddenly Huni is also putting pressure on the enemy team, people can't focus him as easily. And those other concerns you have about like, does he roam well? Is he going to sacrifice for the team by giving up a champ? Like, is he going to play Malzahar for your team or something? Like these kinds of questions don't matter anymore.
Mark, I'm kind of surprised you're not tripping.
What do you mean tripping?
Oh, because you're doing so much backpedaling right now. I feel like that's just.
Is that backpedaling saying what I've always said, that he's between 4th and 6th on my power rankings? That you can go back and check on record because it's my job to speak on record.
Mark, I'm going to be honest. I just wanted to make that joke. I thought it was pretty clever.
You thought of it. You just had to say it.
So I did an interview with Froggen this past weekend that is on Reddit right now. And the top comment is, "It's an absolute crime. We still haven't seen Froggen versus Bjergsen or Jensen in a best of 5 ever. Really hoping we get to some point in 2020."
Yeah, I saw that.
And Thorin replied and said, "Been waiting so many years for it," which so it's great that you crack. He never comments on any of my threads. It's just Froggen is Thorin bait. I love it. Anyway, so I think people are getting a little ahead of themselves. I will say, like,
This is a hot take show,
based off the
Travis.
yes, I know it's a hot take show, but based off the very first week.
Don't you know what show you've made, Travis?
What? No, this is the cold take show. No, based off the very first week, I think it's a little early to be so confident in Dig and FlyQuest. I think Dig is the type of team that I could see blowing up halfway through the split, and maybe not like going down to a bottom placing. But I'm not saying that I'm not as confident in their ability to hit third. I think FlyQuest is similar. I think those are the two. I feel like if you look at splits over the years, there's usually the teams that start off really strong, and then suddenly like C9 or C9 or TSM or one of these other teams suddenly get their shit together and they get pushed down to like 4th or 5th. And I feel like that's
I can see that somewhat, but I was thinking more that Dignitas and FlyQuest would fight for third, just standings for playoffs. I wouldn't think I'm not going to confirm whether they'd end spring split in playoffs 3rd or 4th. I just think that for standings wise.
Yeah, and I think that's a good distinction to make, because teams with Huni like Echo Fox and Immortals, right? Like they were dominant, especially in the first part of the season, and then in Echo Fox they started to drop off, even in spring split, and they end up 3rd after being 1st for the majority of it. And Froggen has had that a little bit on Golden Guardians, where they were really good in spring, started to slow down a little bit, and then by summer we're not even in playoffs. So I think it's a good point to make, but I agree that they're looking really good right now, and a lot of teams have to do some catching up, and that's assuming that Dignitas doesn't improve or doesn't explode.
Yeah.
Just
Cheesecake, thanks so much for the call. Anything you want to shout out here at the end?
Nope, I'm good. I think I'm good.
Have a good one. Okay, let's take a quick break right now to talk about Alienware. Do you guys know that Alienware will be powering a new LCS arcade at Riot Games in the LCS arena place? Do you know about this, Mark? Did you see it?
I saw it, but I haven't walked in there yet.
Yeah. So I was actually just filming some interviews in there today. It's pretty sick. Anyway, Alienware continue to do some really cool things for League of Legends esports fans. They're going to be doing a bunch of stuff that's fantastic throughout this year. Hoping to announce some news about me and Alienware soon as things are progressing. Anyway, I really appreciate all the support that they show for our content, because Mark and I, let's be honest, if we weren't getting paid to do this show, Mark and I, we'd wrap up Monday Night League. We'd go home and go to sleep. And maybe Mark would watch some anime. Maybe I would play.
Apparently, there's a good Jason Bateman show on Netflix or HBO right now that I would be watching, because I can hear my girlfriend watching it. I don't know. She said it was good, and I watched a little bit of it.
The Outsider.
Yeah,
what people are saying. Okay, so he'd be watching The Outsider. I might be watching the final episodes of BoJack Horseman. I'm excited about that. But instead, we're here doing this show for you, because Mark and I, we lost our passion a long time ago, and Alienware dollars are the only thing that are really keeping us going.
I'm looking for any way out of this scene,
I'm just kidding. We love this, but I do also love Alienware, because they support us and help us do this content. So thank you so much to Alienware for supporting so much of what we do. I don't know if you guys can see, but I have like all this Alienware swag just sitting on my couch that I got to figure out what to do with. They sent me a new set of stuff. Mark's already decked out. I can't give him. Do you need a mouse, Mark?
Nah, I could use a mouse. This one looks okay.
There we go. Mark's gonna get a new mouse. Compliments of Alienware. You can go check him out over at alienware.com/Travis. Look at the enthusiasm on that face. That's happiness and joy. Brought to you by Alienware. Anyway, let's move on to the next caller. On Hotline League, as Mark grabs the next person, a couple of quick shout outs By the way, please sub. Just sub. If I say sub 5 times in a row, sub. Will you guys do it? Ouying Fang for 4 months. Zbake05. Mr. Rah. Sorry, I'm losing my voice here. Soybeans for 3 months. And Saucy Entry for 13 months as well. I appreciate. Oh, everybody's just saying no in the chat about the sub situation. That's disappointing. Volume is here. Volume, where are you calling from?
I'm calling from Connecticut, East Coast.
East Coast. Welcome to the show. It's kind of late there. Thank you for staying up so late.
Yeah, no problem. I really wanted to be on the show. I haven't been able to be on. I mean, I've been following you since Yahoo exploded. So
nice. Well, I appreciate it. Yeah, those the good old days. What do you want to talk about on the show tonight?
I'm here to talk about that. IMT versus TSM wasn't that awful, especially if you're IMT, because I believe they didn't have their players. Like I believe so. I just came over like that week, and I agree. Their early game looked really badly, like real bad, and but they managed to out macro and outpace TSM even with an early lead. And both teams honestly drafted really badly. Like, why are you picking Ezreal?
So
like,
you could agree the quality of the game was bad, right? You're just saying it wasn't that bad for IMT.
I mean, I think the macro at the end was pretty good from IMT. Like, they didn't have to do anything. TSM's comp was so bad, like they couldn't do anything. Their comp fell off. They didn't have any engage. Like, what are they gonna do? Lee Sin kick? Like, Dardoch had to play like an absolute like god in order to get them in any engage. And I think Biofrost like played well on Tom Kench, but like they didn't have any engage. And I mean, neither did IMT. So like that's why it stalled out so much, because they couldn't like pull the trigger, at least in my opinion. And like the way IMT like maneuvered around the map using Sohaz and Xmithy's like game knowledge really I think really carried them. And in fact, like Alltech played really well on the Ezreal. I think his laning was bad, but like the late game Ezreal like really paid off for them. And I don't know what's wrong with TSM, but like their draft looked bad. And like Broken Blade can't hit Rumble ults. So like,
sorry, are you? Can we agree that was a bad game of League of Legends, or are you disagreeing with that take?
I mean, I think that so I think it was like a good game from a macro perspective, but I guess it was I'm not really sure how to say like.
I'll try and give you my most positive take for Immortals, and you can tell me if you're on the same page.
Okay.
That was a pretty shit game, but Immortals maybe didn't have much time to work together. And the fact that they could win was good. But I don't think in the current meta, any game should take 61 minutes if people are making good macro decisions.
Yeah.
Or good games and stuff.
Maybe I'm like picking the wrong hill to die on, but like I just think that they fell really far behind. Like they fell far behind early game, and I agree that their play early was really bad. But like they managed to sneak the Baron, and they looked really panicked. But they because they got the early Baron, like TSM didn't know what to do. I think it was more on the onus that TSM should have been able to close out this game, and that Immortals was trying to come back from behind with a comp that really was just trying to poke out TSM.
Okay, so Mark,
but at the
let me
same
ask you,
time,
would you say that IMT was impressive because they were behind, they had little time to prepare, and as a very new team, the ability to continue to perform? Okay, well, I'm just trying to help.
I would say as a new team, you're happy to get the win, and you should improve. And the fact that you beat TSM is good. Maybe they're a worse new team than you are, so that you're better than some people in the league. But I don't think you could say they played good League of Legends for a new team when you see Dig, in your same league. So I can't agree that they play good League of Legends. The draft was good. They picked a lot of disengage and protection against the team with really shit engage to make it really hard. But then like look at Niski's Zoe compared to Ika's Zoe in the late game, and like the fact that they couldn't really poke TSM off of objectives, and eventually Senna started doing a better job poking them off because the game went so goddamn late. Like I just can't buy that they did good. I think TSM played too passive, or like messed up a couple times when they had advantages where their comp could win, and then they had to engage and they couldn't, and then for some reason it still took Immortals forever to win.
Yeah. I don't know. I agree then. Like I do agree it wasn't like the greatest playing of all time, but like considering that everyone considered that IMT was going to be like god awful, like I think that they managed to like show something, and maybe TSM was just ridiculously overhyped.
Yeah, I think it's more that, right? It's not, you don't look at that game and you're like, wow, everyone thought IMT was going to be god awful, and look at how good they are. It's like, wow, everyone thought IMT was going to be god awful, and look how much worse TSM is.
Yeah.
I think this. I mean, I think INT has like a lot to build off of at least. So, I mean, maybe I'm not sure how to feel about Ica. Like, I think his Zoe was like meh, but like he had the counter pick, but he was laning against Bjergsen, albeit a sick Bjergsen. So like, and they played FlyQuest, which you could argue is one of the best teams right now in the league based off the week for their first game.
Yeah.
So
I mean, I would feel confident this weekend moving IMT up on predictions. Like I think on maybe the week before, Mark and I were discussing who's going to be the worst team, and I think I at one point in time felt like IMT was in the running for it, but I'm happy to say that I don't think they're going to be necessarily like a bottom 2, bottom 3 team. I could see with a little bit more practice them being much better.
Yeah, I don't know. I had them, I think, 8th or something, and I still feel like that might be where they end up, depending on if teams like CLG and TSM get it together. I think Golden Guardians is the other team that they're pretty much fighting with. So I don't know. I'm still like, I don't think they're in playoffs. That didn't make me think that they would be watching that game. Was not like, oh, that was probably a playoff caliber team.
I'm also willing to vote IMT as the new FlyQuest. And we're going to talk about FlyQuest later, but in terms of like, I think they're going to be the team that does the least interesting stuff from a branding standpoint. So
yeah, we have that topic.
Oh, we do? Man, damn, Mark, you've been so good.
Wait, the Immortals? Wait, you see Immortals or
Immortals?
Oh, Immortals is doing something from a branding perspective?
No, that's what I'm saying. They're going to be the new FlyQuest, meaning FlyQuest will ascend, and then Immortals will be the new one that we make fun at for being like irrelevant from a. Anyway, Volume. Thanks for the call. Anything you want to say before we move on to the next caller?
I just want to thank you guys for letting me on the show. I've been wanting to kind of come on. It's late because I'm in the East Coast, but like I'm really glad that I was able to come on the show, and I love your content, Travis. I've been watching for a long time.
Yeah, so thank you. I really appreciate it. Thanks for calling in. I hope you had a good time.
Thank you.
See ya.
See ya.
Moving on to the next caller. We have Skips 35, Sheep 42, 1997, LOL Esports fan, and Dawn January who have subbed. Thank you to all of you wonderful people. LOL Esports fan with 2 N's. I wonder if that person's last name has an extra N, like their last name is fan with 2 N's. I don't know. EGR is tweeting about their Dota team. I agree with that, Lepu. I will say that. I made the mistake recently of following EG, and it does feel like they tweet about their Dota team a lot, and I don't like that. I want less Dota team. I want more League of Legends. Less Dota team tweets. Hello, Con. Welcome back to the show. It's been a bit for you.
I guess it has.
You're kind of far from your microphone.
Sorry about that. I'll pull it closer.
Oh, that's better. Okay, thank you. Remind me where you're calling from?
Boise, Idaho.
Fantastic. Well, what do you want to talk about on the show?
So, one of the things I noticed last week during the owners' meetings that people were posting about was like the graphic about how the LCS was the 3rd most popular sport in NA between ages 18 and 34.
Yes.
And I saw a lot of people kind of like, yes and no, rightfully and not, kind of talking down on like Jack and especially Steve saying like, oh, the MLB and NHL get millions of viewers. You guys don't get that. Like, this is a misleading thing. But the reason why this is actually a very good number.
I mean, those are the boomer sports.
Those are the boomer sports, and this is something I learned about with TV recently. Is the reason why these are very good numbers to have is that demographic, 18 to 34, is probably the most valuable demographic in terms of advertising and things being seeked right now.
Are you bumping your microphone, by the way? It sounds like you're kind of bumping a mic.
I think I'm bumping my...
just be careful with it.
But it's good. So a lot of people were out there saying it's not doing as much and stuff like that. And, they have a point there. but there is an actual huge positive in the fact that in the most popular demographic, it is pulling a better average than some of the major league sports right now.
No, so the reason that exactly so that presentation is from an internal, that's the owner's meeting, and the reason why Riot put stats out there is not for the audience. Like, it's nice for us to see it. It's cool. I sent it to my dad to make fun of the fact that his favorite sport, baseball, is dying and mine is rising. But I and he said, "Wow, it's almost like a real sport." And now I will get back at him at some point. But they actually put that out there more for like biz dev, right? Because the idea is that you put that out there, and marketing folks who are trying to hit the 18 to 34 demo are going to do this. You know why Bud Light is almost certainly sponsoring League? It's because no one I know drinks Bud Light, and they need to get eyeballs in on this, right? I assume that they were going to promote their seltzer more over time, because I feel like Bud Light is just dying with this. But like State Farm, the same thing, right? Like, you cannot reach. There's a, I think it was the Army recently.
Do a stream poll about, do you drink Bud Light?
Okay. Well, that's kind of hard because some people probably don't drink beer in general. But
all right,
say, do you drink?
Can you do 3 options?
Yeah,
yes, no, I can't drink.
Do you drink Bud Light? Yes, no, I don't drink beer. Let's go with that. All right. Poll is in the chat. Let's go. But the there was a military arm, I think it was the Army recently, who was talking about how they stopped running Super Bowl ads and ads on stuff like that because they realized that their demo, right? They want to recruit young men generally, or young people, are not watching those events, and so they're going to start spending their money in esports. I don't know how I feel about that, but it's indicative of the fact that like this stuff is happening. Okay, so 13% say yes, 32% say they don't drink beer, 55% say no. So there's, I mean, you know, 50% of our audience is like they drink beer and they don't drink Bud Light. So maybe there's a world where like if Bud Light does this now, I don't think. Never mind. I'm not gonna say that because I might want them as a sponsor. But I am, you know, this is true. That's why people are excited about this. So I agree with your point. Like, it is an incredibly valuable demographic. Some might say the most valuable. There's a lot of brands that want to get access to it. None of us are watching TV anymore because we don't have TV. A lot of us we're running ad block, and we're ignoring advertising when we see it elsewhere. So esports is the way to do it. And it makes a lot of sense now that people are trying to do that.
Yeah, and because most people aren't drinking light beer, if they or the Bud Light, they can convert them. Hopefully,
yes.
I used to drink Bud Light all the time, and if someone put a Bud Light in my hand for money, I absolutely would drink it.
Same. I mean, not
and then
that I
I
used
would
to drink it, but I would drink it for money.
This is a dangerous way of putting it. I'm an influencer, but
So I definitely have a couple more points I want to make on the take too, though. Because I think one of the things that I felt was the most misleading with this is like, yes, the average is a 30,000 higher than MLB, 60,000 higher than NHL, but both those leagues, and even NBA, play thousands of hours more a year. Would our little thing called the LCS be able to support this type of average if they had to potentially, you know, play 2,000 more hours a year? Or would that average be boggled down to below those levels?
Well, I think, correct me if I'm wrong, but I thought it was based on the amount of time that people spend watching annually, not how many average people are watching at any given time. Let me go back to our pal.
You gonna pull up
Jack tweeted. Jack's probably tweeted a lot. I think Steve probably tweeted less. Let's find the image.
Yeah, you can find it on one of them.
Yeah, I have the tweet here. It says Nielsen average minute audience.
I forget what average minute audience means. It's a new thing that they're starting to use a lot in the last like year or two. Average minute audience, which calculates the average number of people watching a broadcast at any minute during broadcast. Okay, yeah. So it is actually, so it's a little less hype than I think it is, because, or I thought it was initially, because it's about how many people are watching it and the average amount of people that are watching at any given minute, not how much people might be watching more baseball because there's more baseball to watch than there is league, for instance, or LCS at least. So
Right.
I
So
don't know.
like when something goes on, well, I wonder if it aggregates
Well,
across.
it's one of those things too, because one of the big reasons why we moved back to best of one from best of three was because with that much league going on, it hurt the viewership average and less people seem to be watching.
I don't think that's why they did it. I think they did it because less people were watching it in general.
Yeah, I think. Well, yeah.
Either
It
way,
wasn't.
My last point with this, though, is with numbers like this and stuff, and with the news that came out with Blizzard this last weekend, when are the owners going to start putting pressure on Riot to try and make a broadcasting deal for the LCS?
they are.
Because for me,
So I will say this. Even though I don't think this is supposed to be public. Riot and the owners are currently having discussions around how best to sell broadcast rights to platforms. I don't know if that would mean it'd go off Twitch. I don't know if it would mean it'd go on TV or whatever, but this is something LCS is looking into.
and for anybody out there in chat that gets mad or does not want to see that happen, just know for like an economic standpoint, if you, not saying this is going to happen or not, but if the LCS had like a 3-year, $200 million deal, that money can get put back into the orgs and players to where every org could be financially viable without having to worry about their YouTube content always needing to be something. They can focus on the players and stuff like that.
Well, and I think a lot of people will. Let me caveat everything that I just said with. There's no evidence that it could be, for instance. So right now, people probably don't know this, but Twitch, YouTube, Caffeine, they all pay Riot money to get access to the LCS. It's just not really talked about. Like people are already Riot already makes money broadcasting this stuff on these things, and they tend to do it as part of like bigger deals, right? It's not just like it's not a how many ads or whatever. Like when you see downtime during the LCS broadcast, it is because they have contractual obligations because they have sold rights to these different broadcast partners, and those broadcast partners then have the ability to run ads during those times. So they're already making money doing this. The thing is that right now they do it non-exclusively, and they're probably not making as much money as they can. There's also discussions like do you want to put League on TV? You know, could you sell it to ESPN or something along those lines, like similar to what Overwatch did, I think, for a little bit. So I think to date, Riot and the owners have not focused as much on trying to make money off of broadcast revenue, and that is something that they are going to start doing soon. It will probably not come into place in 2020, but I think their discussions around 2021. Again, doesn't necessarily mean it's coming off Twitch. Maybe it goes to Twitch exclusively. Maybe they just get more money from Twitch and YouTube because they become exclusive and they lock in multi-year deals. Maybe it's also available on TV. Who knows? I don't think anyone should be freaking out about it yet, but that is definitely something that I think they are pursuing.
Thank you for that tidbit. That makes me happy to hear. And I mean, with regular streamers and stuff getting big contracts with all these things, it would only make sense that the league itself would be doing that.
Yeah. Anyway, thanks, Con, for the call. Anything you want to say before we move on to the next caller?
Man, just TSM, new players, same stuff.
I guess so. Hey, thanks for the call.
You guys have a good night.
Have a good one. On to the next caller. Mark, you want to go grab him? Mark is grabbing him. Great. Let's see. We got Mitchell in the chat for 2 months. Slogmo Darfin for 2 months as well. Thank you to our subs. Really appreciate it. Oh, Big Drew 9288. Thank you for the prime. Appreciate it. Jack says that was a great caller. Jack just liked the caller because of the little jab at TSM at the end. Watkins is here. Watkins, where are you calling from?
Calling from Toronto.
Toronto. Ontario?
Yes, sir.
Okay. What do you want to talk about on the show tonight?
I think that Dig Academy is good for the academy environment and has potential to help or produce or train newer talent.
Interesting. Okay, because we had a caller, was it last week, Mark, who was very anti. They felt that we should have restrictions on how many.
A lot of people.
I heard them.
It's a relatively
lot,
popular sentiment.
Yeah. I think Reddit and everyone is blowing up about it.
Okay. Well, go ahead and
really,
expand.
as you said earlier, earlier in tonight's show, the point of academy is to level up players. And in traditional sports, there's so many ways for players to kind of interact with each other, and you can see how they would gauge when it comes to pro things. With them being full of veterans, they all want a second chance at academies. They're all going to try hard. DeMonte even said that it'd be disappointing if they don't win. And so it's a good test for them to show that they still have it. It's a good test for others to also try and see. So people saying you should be up in LCS. With that, if he can play good against DeMonte and Lane, maybe we'll see what happens.
Overall, but why do you think it's good?
I think it'll help grow new talent. I think we never see how they play against other LCS calibers, but we can see now how they will perform against these Dig players. It's hard to say how a whole team competes against it, but especially looking at laning stats, you should be able to see if a laner can cut it against someone else.
This is an interesting one because I do like the idea of getting players and having good academy teams. Basically, like what C9 Academy has been in the past, right? This is a more extreme example, you could argue, because at least like before they had Zazel, who was a little less proven and stuff. There's like no one unproven aside for a lane swapping Phoenix, right? And I think that's my only problem is I don't mind there being like decent players in academy who like, because there's a couple of reasons they work, right? You can make a business move in the off season between spring and summer to maybe someone needs a DeMonte and they can move him over, and they make some money off it. He has a place to stay active while still being pretty much LCS caliber for sure. And then you also can, like you said, have good players in the academy for up and comers like Oblaze, Olive, and Yasui to play against, right? The problem I have a little bit is League is such an interconnected game that when you do that with all 5 players, they kind of just like, it's one of these games where suddenly everyone gets shit on, right? Like
Yeah.
It's a very fine tipping point between a close game and a slaughter. And if you make too good of an academy team, you're not really seeing how good Yasui is versus DeMonte. You're seeing how good Yasui's team is against DeMonte's team, with them being a part of them. And suddenly that becomes a very different check, because if Acadian is in there, he's much better than the other jungler, and then the support, who I'm blanking on right now, who's Dig Academy support? Ole?
Yeah.
Right?
Yes.
Yeah, Ole's way better than the other guy. He starts roaming to mid as well. Like, it's not a 1v1 lane. And suddenly it's totally different, right? And I think that's my bigger problem is like, I don't mind if it was just DeMonte and Acadian being like, this is what a mid jungle duo looks like in the LCS. Let's see if these guys can stack up. But it's also Ole and it's also Lorlo and it's also, a Phoenix who is world swapping. So I think that's my problem is it's if you make a team too good, you're not actually learning anything. You're just watching it like, yeah, I knew those guys were better.
I think, but Mark, this is only an issue though if they just end up crushing everybody in academy and don't drop games, right?
I mean, it depends how they lose. Sometimes arrogance happens, like, oh yeah, well, we're so fucking good, we'll just kill them all, and then they lose, and that's more like that's more Dig Academy loss than you won. And so
I do think I was just gonna say I think it's. I never want to say that academy is only about developing talent, because even though that is probably the primary objective, oftentimes it is the way teams often use them as an interchangeable pool of players, like the 10-man roster type thing. I don't know if that's what Dig is planning on doing, but it makes sense to try to invest in your LCS team by expanding out options into your academy team. It's hard for me to get really upset about this like veteran situation whenever it's just one team. If it's like our developmental league just turned into like the majority of the teams or half the teams hanging out with a bunch of longtime players, that'd be kind of scary. When it's one team, these are players that for the most part are considered like sort of on towards the bottom end of LCS.
Well, Yeah,
I don't know.
and I think one thing I actually don't mind is that Dignitas Academy is largely players who were in the LCS just last split. I actually dislike it more when it's some perennial academy player who's taking up a spot. Like if you've been in academy / challenger for 4 or 5 straight years, that actually bothers me more than the guy who got a crack in a couple, like, Demonte had a year or a little more or 2, and now he's back in academy again.
Yeah,
Like
he's
what
just kind
happened
of
with
holding
Golden.
it down, right? So.
Right, yeah, it's more of like, okay, this guy just needs a shot, but like when it's the same guy again and again and again and again and again, like what are you waiting for? Who is he? He's more kind of like gatekeeping or something than he is really like, oh, I'm actually going to put him in the LCS, like Travis was saying. And so I think that's another reason I have a little less of a problem with Dignitas is like Phoenix at 80 carry could actually work out. And Ole was playing last year, and so was Demonte, and so was Acadian. And Lorlo's a little bit more removed, but, he at least still was, he was, a game away from making finals a couple years ago.
Yeah.
I think the big of it helping develop teams is the fact that these teams should be scrimming against each other. So when you have those teams doing that, they're going to take advantage of mistakes where other academy teams wouldn't. So it should hopefully provide reviews for academy teams to hopefully level up their play as well.
It's a tough argument to make because there is a breaking point. You kind of heard a lot of, sometimes you just get shit on so hard. It's like, what'd you learn? Well, I learned I'm not as good as Demonte. That's not a teaching point. And when you play against a team so much better than you don't actually learn anything. And I think it was Golden Guardians and like Hunter was talking about this when they initially made their first academy roster, which was just like full of new guys. It's like there's no stability in the lineup. Everyone's just trying to learn what the hell they're supposed to be doing and what they're bad at. And so no one actually gets a chance to improve because they're all just getting crapped on. Like, you don't learn basketball by taking your youth league rec team and playing against LeBron. You don't learn anything. I learned LeBron shits on my face, and that's something that it's obviously slightly hyperbolic, but that is a problem that might happen with Dig Academy. Is it's just like they're too good.
I'm hoping that we see a little from different academy teams this year, especially where everyone kind of does have 2 or 3 experienced players, and the season will.
Hey, thanks, Watkins, for the call. Is there anything that you want to say before we move on to the next caller?
Just thanks for doing this. Thanks to Alienware, and have a good rest of the show.
Have a good one. Mark's off to grab the next caller. Shout out to LOL Esports Fan for the 300 bits. Mark shows your cat. Travis, you're awesome. Dillman926, thank you for the 500 bits. We got a lot of bits coming out tonight. Thank you everyone for the bits. Dillman, now the bit leader. It's a bit party here at the the Hotline League post LCS show tonight. It's awesome. Mark's spending some time up there. We got 3 more callers to go before this evening, and then I'm gonna. By the way, people asked for the link to the Discord. Just put !Discord in the chat. All right, and maybe when you see somebody else ask for the Discord, you link the Discord to them with !Discord. Mark is not muted. Mark is in a different channel. He's getting people onto the show. We're figuring stuff out. He should be joining us any minute. Yeah, I've got some interviews I can air after the stream too. Jade, welcome to the show. Welcome back. Remind me where you're calling from.
Oh, I'm sorry. I got caught by the delay. I'm calling from Toronto.
Toronto. Okay. Well, welcome back on the show. What do you want to talk about tonight?
I wanted to talk about how I thought C9 was going to win finals, but Mark told me to talk about the FlyQuest branding, and I could talk about that forever.
What? Mark, this is not going to go well for the comment that was like, yo,
I just want
Mark and Travis have things they want to talk about. Why,
No,
I'm fine with talking about FlyQuest. I think their branding is brilliant. I think it's really good.
People often put multiple takes in.
No,
and sometimes I'm like,
talk about it.
I'm picking you for this one. Yeah.
I just want it on record, so when C9 wins finals in summer, I can be like, I called it.
Okay. Well, it's on record. I assume you also wanted to talk about the FlyQuest thing. This isn't something Mark is just telling you to talk about. Okay.
I was always like not a big. I liked FlyQuest. I liked C9 a lot, obviously, and they were like highs extra And I always kind of wanted them to do at least decent. I never thought they'd be like first or whatever, but I like Wild Turtle. I like the whole team. But they have like no brand. They never did. And now this is like the perfect engagement, especially for people who have a main team, which like very few people are going to pick FlyQuest as their main team. Unless you're just coming in and you just random pick, you're not going to do that. And so what you need is a way to engage people and make people want to watch FlyQuest games. And so it's so well done. Where it's like, first of all, if they win, if you don't care about either team, you're going to root for FlyQuest because you're just like, yay, 100 trees. It's like a thing to latch onto, to root for them or to watch their game. And then also the ocean keeps you engaged in the game because, if an ocean comes up, it's like, oh, if they get that, and so it drives engagement and a reason to like enjoy their games outside of like an ethereal, oh, I want this team to get fourth. And that's like a lot of teams where it's just like, I want them to get fourth.
Yeah. So a couple things.
Jack,
Okay.
I really like what Fly is doing. Kind of shocked.
Yeah. No, so a couple of different things here. One, worth pointing out that Megumi expert Trisha Sugita, who was over there for a while, I think is their, I want to say general manager. She was she's now the CEO.
Okay.
So that changed as of like a week ago, or at least they announced it, I think, this past week. So I think with that comes new leadership, seemingly, at the organization. It does seem like they're making some interesting things. What I like about them so far is, oh, by the way, I don't know, I don't think she'd have an issue with me saying this. I was talking to her this weekend because she came out to the press box, and she was like, by the way, I was laughing so hard when you guys were flaming us on Hotline League. And the problem was, my first reaction was,
oh shit,
which time when we were flaming you? I didn't have a great, I didn't know which, okay, can you know off the top of your head which one?
It was the caller, right?
It was the caller. So I had forgotten about that. And I'd only thought about the last time when we had done a show where, like, because she referenced Kelby being on it. And I was like, well, it's been a while since Kelby's been on. And I thought it was whenever he called it. I was like, well, Kelby called in about Greg. I was like, did he make fun of FlyQuest while talking to Greg? So anyway, it was the time we had that fan. She apparently knows the fan, and he is like an ardent FlyQuest fan. But she was saying she really enjoyed it. And by the way, I thought that's such a great sport. Because whenever we make fun of Cloud9 every now and then, Jack won't talk to me for like 5 months. He flips me off at the studio.
I don't get any hugs from Jack when I mean to him.
Yeah, exactly. He chucks products at me violently.
Free merch.
It's funny because I used TSM and TL as an example of a game the last time I was on this show, and C9's actually my team, and I didn't want to use them because I didn't want to be biased, so I was just like using an example. And Jack was in the chat, like flaming, being like, "Get her off! She doesn't know what she's talking."
Yeah. Well, either way, I'm just kidding about that. But team owners and GMs and everybody is just super sensitive, and it makes it hard sometimes to want to like. So I thought it was great because she was a great sport about it, and she was saying, what?
Sorry, you go.
I was saying she was, and she said, this is great because we're going to come out with this like new brand stuff, and people will feel good to see it. I originally, when I saw the jerseys at Asset Day, I was like, kind of weird. This like very Hallmark style flower art on the jerseys. I don't know how well it's going to go over, but I was like, but it does look really clean and nice. And as I continue to see it more, I was like, actually, it's kind of cool and very different and like very not sportsy, which I feel like a lot of teams and orgs are like, well, we gotta make it look like sports, sports. So
did you see the segment that we did on Countdown on Sunday about Not My Hot Take?
No.
It was like we wrote hot takes for other people and they had to read them without knowing who wrote it and like try and defend the point.
That's like an SNL skit where they were making jokes for each other and
It's there's a lot of things like that. Yeah. And so I had written down Golden Guardians is the best franchise team at establishing their brand, and their brand is being the worst team in the league.
Okay.
And
like, read it.
Crumbs ended up having to read it, and he thought I was talking about their brand, like their actual branding, and he was like, is it a bridge? Is it a sword?
Okay. That's great. That's even better. Now I need to go back and see this. This sounds great.
Yeah, so it was like one of those things where I wrote the joke, and then we were all like, oh, should we actually say it? Like, Hunter's gonna get mad probably, like that we're just flaming him, yada yada yada.
Yeah.
And so like, it is true that like we're sometimes like, oh, I don't know if we should say it.
So the idea is that then they have to argue, they have to elaborate on why that's their hot take.
Yeah, so Crumbs reads it and then he's like, he goes into it full and he was
Yeah.
like, yeah, their logo sucks. What is it? Is it a spaceship? Is it like
This sounds great. I loved that. This is brilliant idea. I really
the segment was a bit of a mess because it was so like, I don't know. We were kind
you
of
guys
all
are not
over the
all
place.
improv comedians, so I can understand why it's a little different.
Yeah, I mean, it was good energy and we were all laughing, but like we were struggling to read them sometimes because we hadn't seen them before, and so you're reading it on this prompter that's scrolling this thing you've never seen before. So we all kind of stumbled over them. But it was a good idea overall. Anyways, I just brought it up as like another example of like, sometimes you have a funny joke and you want to say it, but you're like, is it gonna like, piss people off?
But
luckily,
but with the FlyQuest stuff, I think the trees thing, like, Jade, I'm happy you're happy whenever you want to root for FlyQuest, so trees get planted. I actually think the majority of League fans will not care as much about the trees getting planted and more just
have you
the
seen
meme. I think people like it as a meme or a joke, right?
But that's why it's good.
And that's what I mean. It's like it's kind of funny because I don't know.
It's funny when they win because if you hate the enemy team, it's like they won and they're going to plant 100 trees.
Yes.
So you lost in favor of 100 trees. Although I will say it interferes with 100 Thieves a little bit, which is kind of a problem.
I also think. Oh, sorry. Go ahead.
So I still think that makes it like so useful because when I initially heard that they're like, Go Green is like one of their new brands, I was like, no one's going to resonate with that.
Yeah.
I mean, like people do care about the environment, but it's not like,
it's very.
But this is actually a great way to do it because there are so many memes where like, wow, this team must really care about the environment for how many ocean drakes they gave FlyQuest. It gives you ammo to play with, which is why it's so good.
Well, and they do little things like, hang on, let me see if I can pull this up. But there weren't any ocean drakes in the EG game today against 100 Thieves, but they took what the EG meme was with the Jizuke flamethrower thing, and they stuck flowers on top of his, like a crown of flowers. And I don't know what I think it is the flamethrower, but it's just like they have. I think Golden Guardians, I remember they kind of wanted to embrace that they're like the good boys and wholesome, but FlyQuest has turned being wholesome into a meme, which I think is the best way to be wholesome. It's just it's so good.
I think the wholesome meme thing, if they can keep doing it, like they're like flower children and like super over the top, maybe it's good, but like, so I don't know if I'm supposed to say what I'm about to say because it's kind of like
those are the best things to say.
Yeah, so I'm going to say it anyways. We were in like a meeting where they were like, just basically running the LCS talent people through what the teams wanted their brands to be.
Yeah.
And like what some of their pillars are and stuff like that, as well as sharing some metrics around how many like different ways that they've like, measured how many fans teams have. And they got to the FlyQuest one and like, a lot of their brand things were like, we want to be nice along. I don't want to say exactly what they all were because I don't know if I'm supposed to, but like, it was like, a lot of like being nice people.
Yeah.
And then it showed like that they didn't have that many fans, which we already know. I don't think I'm sharing anything. It's just like, I saw the data and I was like, that's kind of dangerous because they're already nailing their brand. They're so closely aligned. Like I could have told you that's what their brand pillars were. And the fact that I know that and no one gives a fuck is dangerous. I was like, they need a new brand. But I think they're not. Whereas other teams, they had brands where I was like, that's not your brand. That's not what anyone thinks of you as. They were actually nailing it, but it was so bad. And that's why
fans are from winning. Oh, sorry.
No, that's not true. There's a lot of different ways to have brands.
Primarily, fans come from winning, but like you can
primarily.
And but you can also create like I think FlyQuest is the perfect secondary team for like. You can kind of have like the two teams you root for. And I actually think a lot of people who are like TL fans, TSM fans, whatever, that are looking for a secondary team, they can enjoy FlyQuest because, even if, and I don't know, maybe they're going to end up third based off of some of our earlier callers, but like even in a world where they're not winning, they do fun things.
Right. And so anyways, my point was 100 Thieves is a great example. Everyone's mentioning in chat as well. Like, you can make a brand. They were the first team to really like go all in on streetwear and this identity, and like they did a lot of cool stuff, and they're active on social media, whatever. Like, you can do it. And FlyQuest tried to do that, but they were so fucking cringy. And that's what the caller called in about, you know, when he was like, I love my boys on FlyQuest, but goddamn, I feel embarrassed sometimes, you know? And so that's why when I saw like, oh, I think they're hitting it, but people don't, they know what your brand is. They just don't like it. But when I saw Go Green, you know, as one of their new things, I was like, oh God, it's going to be the same thing. But they've actually, like, the planting trees thing has worked out so well. So I'm actually super excited. They've done a great job beyond being Go Green, but making sure they tie it into their games in a really cool way that makes you
Well, and I also loved their tailgate. They had at their tailgate, like, all these teams had all these different things, right? Like, EG had, you could get evil caricatures drawn of yourself, and 100 Thieves had, I don't know, they were probably like throwing money at people. I don't know how 100 Thieves
but either way, like
the FlyQuest one, it was like a garden, and you could get flowers, and like what ended up happening is you built like this little flower arrangement, I think is what it was. And I'd go to the other booths, and these little flower arrangements would be sitting at the other booths, and it kind of just was like, oh my God, they're spreading. Like, it just, and you knew immediately where the flowers were from.
Like, when I thought Go Green, and when I saw it kind of in this meeting, I was like, they're going to be talking about their carbon footprint. They're going to be talking about like the earth is dying. You know, I thought like the sciencey side, and I didn't think about the hippie culture-esque, free loving, like, woo, let's go plant some trees, bro. You know, like, and I think
hippie orgies soon to be taking place with the FlyQuest.
Come to the fucking hookah bar.
Come to the Grove.
Have an orgy with FlyQuest. I just think that the identity of Go Green has been much better than I thought it was going to be.
Yes. Pretty soon, they're just waiting for right now. You know, the owners being there. But last week, they were probably like, "How do we feel about weed? Can we promote? Can we get Weed Maps as a spot? Weed Maps, great title sponsor for the Go Green campaign for FlyQuest." Anyway.
I hope they go that way. I hope they go towards flower orgies.
I just like the idea of them like floating into other teams' like rooms and just like throwing flowers and shit. You know, like just going so over the top. With it.
Groovy Zillion every draft, says Kielbasa. Oh, that's great. But the other thing I was going to say is I really want EG and FlyQuest to become like branding rivals.
Polar opposites.
I think that would be so good.
Like they just set their plants on fire.
Yes. I think it's so, like, because they are so opposite that I just want there has to be amazing content opportunities between FlyQuest and EG where you make them like the nerdy hall monitors that are like making sure that all the eco stuff is going great. Oh, Ovely's calling me. 1 second.
Don't answer. We're on a show
Hello,
right
Ovely.
now.
I'm doing Hotline League right now. How can I help you? They can hear you. Oh, do you want me to mute?
We can't hear.
Should I mute? Okay. See you in 15 minutes. Okay. Bye.
What the hell?
Ovely's coming over in 15 minutes.
Well, we'll be done by then.
Yeah.
Hopefully.
Well, yeah, we got 2 callers, so we'll see. We didn't get through it. But I hope that EG and FlyQuest become crazy rivals. I think that would be
Just
super
say,
fun.
if we win this game, we're going to burn down 100 trees.
Yes, exactly. No, it's so good.
We're going to throw garbage in a river.
For every infertile Drake, we cut down 12 trees that are taken and do nothing with them. I really want to make that happen. Please, Riot, make that happen.
Evil geniuses have a lab that's just like, you know, an evil underground lair that's just polluting like fucking crazy.
Yeah, exactly. All right. Anyway, Jade, thanks so much for the call. And don't worry, you officially got your C9 prediction, and Jack will remember you. Is there anything you want to say before we move on to the next caller?
Yeah, I recently got a laptop. My old one was getting kind of old and really slowing down, and then someone bought me a laptop. But it wasn't an Alienware. It sucked, and I was like really bummed because I was like, I don't like want to take it back. That's so rude. And then I kind of got lucky because my cat peed all over it like a week and a half after this brand new laptop. And I was like, well, I'm taking this opportunity. I'm making a change. And it worked out. Since I switched to Tidy Cats, I have had no more litter instance like this, and it's been
That's a
We're
good
on,
fucking
on to our
debate.
next caller. Let's see.
What a great
Smoke a
debate.
weed. Thank you for the 17 months. You know what's funny? We have Hotline League callers that probably have no idea why the Tidy Cats memes persist, but just they know it's like a Hotline League meme because that was at least a year and a half ago.
It was my old place,
Yeah,
which
there's
was
no
at least
way-
8 months ago.
There's no. I mean, I think it was 2018 that happened.
I mean, Kelby was a permanent guest or
Yes.
host at that point.
Yeah, exactly. I think he was living in San Francisco, so it was a long time ago. Anyway, you want to grab the next caller?
Yeah.
Travis' attempt at the first sponsor. All right. Smoke a weed. Thank you for the 17 months. Perfect time for them to call on or to sub as we're doing the FlyQuest Go Green thing. Yeah. Fantastic. Okay, Easy Mac is here. Easy Mac, where are you calling from?
I am calling from Kentucky.
Kentucky. Well, great to talk to you. What do you want to talk about on the show?
I was going to talk about the draft and just the first couple games from 100 Thieves.
Sure, go for it.
So yeah, in the first game, obviously Meteos got set back pretty bad in the beginning, but I think it was honestly like a lot of teams, sometimes you see teams really active at level 1, and I just thought that they were kind of like lazy, I would say, at level 1, and just kind of like almost like a scrim, like they weren't expecting anything to happen really, and then it just kind of happened on a late invade, which is more prevalent now with like the catch up XP and the jungle changed. Because you get set back that far, and then you see how far back Meteos was like pretty much all game. And then also just Ryoma. So like putting him in the position where Ryze is good, but when he's having to play, and they last picked Ryze into LeBlanc, which is normally good, but I just think that putting him against Jizuke, who's been to Worlds and played against world-class mid laners, that it's just not really the best pick, especially with Meteos being on Olaf, who doesn't have CC of his own except for the slow from the axes, so it's just not super easy to execute either.
Well, Jizuke kind of looked like the weak point for EG that first game, so I can kind of understand why they wouldn't think of him as like, well, should we put him up against this world's caliber player? You know,
That's what I was going to ask, Easy Mac. Where would you, if you had to quickly power rank Jizuke, where would you put him?
In the middle, probably like 5, 6, 7, like middle.
Yeah, so
I would say he's either going to be top 3 or bottom 3, depending on the game. You're just coin flip him.
Yeah, but he's hyper aggressive, and I think when you have a combo that's proven, like Lee Sin and LeBlanc, like it's easy. It's like so many people. I mean, those champions have been around forever. Like so many people have played that so many times. Like I just think that combo and the CC lock, it's just too easy.
I mean, like, so what I'll say is I somewhat agree that like the draft wasn't great for controlling Jizuke. But the reason I asked about your feelings on his power ranking in the league is because I don't even think he's that great of a mid laner. And I think he's a good player, and I think the mid lane pool is actually pretty strong in NA, because of so many imports. But like Jensen, Bjergsen, Jizuke, Froggen, PoE, Crown, like there's so many good mid laners that like if Ryoma needs to be drafted around in order to survive Jizuke, I am very
I just think it's first couple games, sorry to interrupt, but just first couple games in NA, and obviously he's not going against NA talent. Like he's a European player, he's played Worlds, he's played a couple seasons in Europe.
But that's what every mid laner in North America is.
Yeah, exactly.
They're all like former world champs, finalists. They fucking all came from Europe where they were good.
Well, it's double. I'm not saying he did bad. Ryoma did bad because in the first game when he played Zoe, he was 4-1-9. He did have a bunch of. Yeah, but he did have missed. He did have missed paddle stars and missed bubbles, like in crucial moments when they could have flipped the game, I think, and it wouldn't have had to come down to Meteos having to steal the Elder Dragon. But I mean, all things considered, not too terrible. But like, I mean, the game was literally won by Meteos, even though he was like the reason they were behind for most of it too, because of the level 1. What else I want to say about the draft is that also like I don't think anybody would say that Stunt is like was that like hyped up coming in, because I mean we've seen him before, and then to put him on champions like Leona and Rakan, which are heavy playmaking people, I would want like Afromu or Core JJ to be playing. Just giving them those champions and expecting him kind of to make stuff happen. You just kind of see in a couple of the plays, well, more than a couple, he just kind of made the wrong play or was kind of out of sync with his team.
Yeah, but the problem is that's what the meta is. You're talking about Nautilus, Leona. Those are two of the most common supports in the meta. You got Braum in there, and then you have some people playing TK. I don't think TK is supposed to be as popular as it is in North America, where they're like
No, I think it's really good with Senna though, because like the double global presence, like you come up and then she can also like long range.
But my point is, Stunt doesn't. If you don't like Stunt on engagey playmaking champions, which by the way he's good at in solo queue, that's how he's so high rated. He's one of the best solo queue supports in North America because he is a good playmaker. The problem more comes from team coordination and things like that. So like, if you don't like him on play,
go ahead.
Yeah. If you don't like him in this meta, I don't know what meta you're gonna like him.
Yeah, I mean, I wasn't too hyped on Stunt when he got picked up. I mean, I love Cody's son. I think he's like really, really good, like top 4 NA 80s. But
I guess my point is this: you're saying like the draft might have influenced these things and stuff, but like good teams are relatively meta resilient, and so you know the draft with Ryoma really wasn't that bad. Like you said, they gave him last pick to try and survive Jizuke, and it didn't go that great. And yeah, there's other things that could have gone better, but you're almost never going to get the perfect draft. His Zoe game, like you said, he was okay in his scoreline, but his CS was not great and things like that. So I'm going to have to say, like, I'm very hesitant on Ryoma. We saw what happened with Soligo last split and how detrimental a mid laner who needs constant attention and support is. And it's kind of looking like that through the first 2 games. Maybe things will turn around. Maybe you're right. I'm just saying I would never bet on that. I'm not betting on that.
Yeah. So just what I wanted to say about that too was just like when they just had the survey where they asked the pro players like what the 2 most important roles were. I'm pretty sure like mid and jungle were the most important. Mm-hmm. So I just think like also drafting towards a strong mid jungle like combo is just really important. And I think they did that with Zoe and Gragas. That can be really good. A lot of like lockdown, even though the bubble isn't super easy to land in lane like all the time. If you're not like already have 6 and have your ult to reposition to hit it. But just the LB or the Rise Olaf, and then like picking Rise, which is so late game, and basically putting him like side lane carry, like just putting so much emphasis on him like late game being the insurance policy. I would have liked to see him play something like, I don't know, maybe like Orianna or something.
Ooh, Orianna in the side lanes. I mean, the problem is when LeBlanc is going to go
like
into
just force the team fight. Like if she's going to like side, like, because I mean, you see like if she's chunking people out either way. So like make a stronger team fight.
Well,
because it just took took him too long to get to a point where he's going to do damage when she's just, you know.
The reason it took him a long time to get to a point that they're going to do damage is because he died a bunch. And then he actually, his CS was actually okay this game. It was better than Jizuke's for a little bit. I mean, all I'm saying is I think he's going to struggle this whole split. That's all I'm saying.
Yeah, well, I mean, he will struggle, and you're playing for the summer, and I think that's good. As long as his spirit is high, like I don't think he's going to have any problem from his teammates. I think they're all positive. You know, people say what they want about Meteos, but I think he's talked about liking Ryoma and that he's like really, even though he's green to the like NA pro scene, that he's, you know, positive and that he's working hard. So,
hey, Easy Mac, Ovely just got here and we still have one more caller to go. So I'm gonna end this call. Unfortunately, is there anything you want to say before we move on to the final caller?
Rest in peace, Kobe.
All right, thank you. Everyone.
So bougie.
Oh, the screen. Yeah, You,
Can chat see? Can chat see this?
they can't see. I have a 55-inch Alienware monitor that's sitting in the corner of my screen now.
Ridiculously bougie.
Yeah.
Do you want me to get the last caller?
Yes.
Okay.
Show us. I don't think I can show you. Yeah, my cable is not. It's like. People need to be careful in the living room.
All right. What do we? Oh, this is awkward.
The
Travis.
CEO of Evil Geniuses to my home.
Uh,
Dude, this is super awkward.
Anyway,
this is super awkward, Travis.
I don't know what's going on. Always concerning me. Sheep.
Are you listening to me, Travis? This is super awkward.
What? This call?
It's gonna be super awkward.
The call? What's the call?
Sheep, welcome to the show. Where are you calling from?
I am calling from Atlanta, Georgia.
Atlanta, Georgia. What is your take?
Someone was talking in the chat and they were talking about what they thought was like poor branding, and they said and then even lower was going to be EG, and I said that I kind of disagreed, but the only part I agreed with was I feel like EG has kind of a cloud around what evil means. And I feel like I personally haven't really seen that other than like the Jizuke holding a flamethrower laughing maniacally, but like other than that, it seems like even the players don't really get what they're supposed to do. Like after hearing Jizuke's interview today, and then also the interview that you did with Skaren and Zazel.
So your take is EG's kind of brute forcing like the evil branding.
Wait, no. Get your own damn straw. That's actually fucking disgusting. Fuck you.
Yes.
Okay, and then I don't want to drink boba out of a cup. Sorry for podcast listeners. Ovly is here, and she has brought Nicole, the CEO of Evil Geniuses, here,
This was a mistake.
randomly showing up for the final call, and also into my messy room.
Mark's this you? Wearing a fucking red shirt.
I picked the caller because it was an interesting take, because we were talking about FlyQuest branding, and someone in the chat said that they thought EG's evil one was bad. So then I pulled them. I didn't say I agreed with it yet.
Okay, so you think that they're kind of brute forcing it, but it's an issue if the players don't represent it. And the only thing you've seen to date so far that involves the players representing it is like Jizuke using a flamethrower.
Correct.
Okay. Mark, why don't you go first?
Well, I saw in the not the countdown. It's not called the countdown. Just the Monday Night League pre-show. There's an interview with Nicole, and they were talking about how live evil doesn't necessarily mean you have to be evil. It was that you're supposed to embrace whatever, like your personality, even if it means it's going to get criticized or some people might not like it. It's supposed to be, about being true to yourself.
I'm gonna say I didn't see that interview, but that sounds like bullshit. I don't know what what was going on in that interview. It sounds like just a huge cop out, you know?
I think
That's what Nicole says. She's right there. I don't think I put words in her mouth. Ask her.
I think that like a good example of that would be like Double Lift a few years ago when, his trophy case was empty. Like he still shit talk everybody, but everyone was like, I don't know, everyone kind of hated on him a little bit, but he kept with it. And now you see where he is, like, probably best North American ADC of all time.
Would you, Jack says it's Mark blushing. Nicole,
No.
First off, welcome to my office. The Travis Gafford Industries Alienware office. You might enjoy
Alienware, please send
all
him
of the
a vacuum cleaner.
okay. Are you living evil right now? Would you like to address this caller, or do you want to not address it? You don't have to, but you're now here, live on Hotline League.
I know, and I regret everything. No, I think it's a fair question, right? As EG is, especially in League. EG in League, especially, 3 weeks into existing, we are starting to roll out a brand identity. So I hope fans and community bear with us as we introduce a new concept, which obviously there's a functional ability to not just come in hot day one with everything. we're building a long-term sticky brand, and building off of brand pieces that had already existed for EG over the past 20 years. So glad you're skeptical. Hopefully that means you stay tuned as we produce more, and get turned evil.
That's the corporate way of saying fuck you.
I mean, what do you think, Sheep? Mostly what it sounds like she's saying is stay tuned. Like do you feel like that's okay, or do you need to see more? Like, is it already just disappointing that they're sort of going with this and they haven't shown anything yet?
I mean, I don't personally really hold a lot of like weight in branding. I just like watching the game and watching the players. So, I think for maybe like non-hardcore fans, it's probably really important to them to like find a brand that they like. But I've been like watching since like season 2 or 3. I've been watching Curse forever, and I love TL. So for me, it's not hard to like stay with the brand that I like. But if you're trying to find a brand, I think that probably somewhat important. I think that there's other aspects of EG that are like really enticing to me, just like the longevity. I personally like being able to see that consistent, I guess, product that they've been able to output through other teams, especially like Dota. I think their Dota team is really cool and really consistent. So I don't know. I think for like, I guess like low level fans, if I had to say it that way, it probably matters a lot more than me. And I definitely see like they're trying to work on it. Like I think the Jizuke thing was like super good, but to me that's been like the only thing so far, and that's why I felt that way.
What do you think of, since you're more of like an in-game fan, what do you think of EG so far as a team from like the game experience type thing?
Let me pull up the roster again.
You're gonna have to pull up their roster? Did you not watch
today?
They were playing
Crush today?
Okay, I really love Xmithy as a TL fan. I think Soaz is good. I think that it might be...
That's Immortals.
That's Immortals. What the fuck am I looking at? I'm sorry. I was looking right under. Sunskarin and
I'm out.
Jizuke and Bang. I think those three...
No credibility.
I think
I'll jump in.
specifically Svenskeren, Jizuke, Bang, and Zazel are really good, and I think that together they can be a really explosive and really consistent team. I'm a little... I don't know what to think of Kumo. I didn't watch him a lot in the past. But yeah, I think if like the other four, I think like Jizuke, as you guys are saying, is kind of a coin flip. Like either he's top 3 or bottom 3, depending on the game. And like today, I think it was today, he played really well. And like Svenskeren is really consistent. I kind of think, I don't know about Bang exactly, but I think Zazel's also really consistent. So I think having that
I don't like
volatility...
the EG brand because the only brand I know is TSM.
What? I like TL. Whatever.
TL.
So I think the roster is pretty good, but I think top lane might be a little weak. Okay. But I'm not really sure.
I was mostly just teasing because I wanted to see you stumble in front of Nicole.
Well, it was also just funny that like I watched the game and it's like, what team is that? It was just like instant shooting of own foot.
Sorry, Sheep. I know this call didn't go the way you were hoping. There was maybe some
it was
surprises.
one of those things, no one signed up for this. I think so. She left, but I was gonna actually chime in eventually. That like I understand why some people might think that in like the pub topics where some of this discussion was happening, just because like it does feel a little dissonant if the brand is like, we're gonna be the kind of like shit talky, not afraid to like start stuff, and then the pro players don't. Not only like stay silent and not do it, but also when asked about it, kind of shy away actively. I think that's more of it. Like Sheep initially said about some of the interviews with Jizuke after the game and stuff like that. Felt like,
yeah.
But like at the same time, we'll see, right? That's what they say. I think brand can build its own identity that like the players aren't 100% a part of, like that it encompasses them completely.
Hey, thanks so much, Shape, for the call. Anything you want to say as we say goodbye here?
Not really. I guess just maybe I think TL's a little weaker than they are last split, and I don't really expect them to win.
Yeah. Well, good prediction. Hey, thank you so much for the call.
Thanks.
Yeah, have a good one. All right. Mark, do you have any shout outs? Anything you want to say here at the end of the show?
No. What do you want to get lunch this week?
Yeah, I'm free. I want to say Wednesday and Thursday are my good days.
Let's do Wednesday. Thursday's girlfriend day.
Okay. That sounds good. We'll do Wednesday then. All right.
Dope.
Lovely. Anything you want to say or shout out at the end here?
Travis tainted my boba by drinking through the straw and then threw it away.
Well, I don't like the jelly. It's pretty gross. Nicole, anything you want to shout out here at the end of the show?
Before people come after me, they should know what they're fucking talking about.
All right, she said, the mic doesn't pick up when you're quiet from far away. She said, before people come after me, they should know what they're fucking talking about.
She said, fuck you, fuck your mama, the place you came from.
Okay. Anyway.
Yeah, I just don't know. Smithy's such a nice guy. I can't see him talking shit, so I'm just a little hesitant.
Okay, anyway, I think EG will be dropping the most F-bombs over the course of this split. That's how they're going to be evil.
You should be willing. Well, I guess you probably already do pay all the player fines, but
First fine in the league.
find some kind of like incentive.
She said, yeah, you can share it.
What did you do? Oh, yeah, we got fined. The biggest fine and the first fine already.
They've got fined already.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
For what?
Because they missed the day of media day, and so they showed up on the wrong day.
Sorry, Greeley.
So they're already.
That's the move. Just encourage your players to swear in interviews to be the bad boys.
Yeah,
if they can't trash talk, at least they'll be vulgar.
Yeah, exactly. Live vulgar.
Single opportunity possible.
All right. So for me, I've got a ton of interviews coming out this week. I was going to air one of them now, but I'm getting ambushed, so I'm going to actually just host a friend, and then we'll call it that. But I've got a ton of interviews coming out this week. I'm going to miss what? I was going to host. Oh no, I'm going to host Vienna because she doesn't stream at this time, and I think she'd really benefit from the host. Anyway, thanks everyone for watching. This has been Hotline League episode 107. Mark, what are you doing?
I'm
smiling. By the way, Mark, can we say this is a success? We'll try again next Monday.
Yeah, I thought this was fine.
I think this worked out really well. We also had great viewership, so I think we're going to stick on Mondays. If it might not already start at 8, if the games run longer or whatever, we might do like 8:30 or something. But
what about the Bud Light League Lounge?
We'll go on after the Bud Light League Lounge with Avli May. Anyway, thanks everyone for watching. This is 107.